It was supposed to be a routine test flight. But when a freak lightning storm forced Elon Musk's jet to land in the middle of nowhere, specifically, the dusty town of Arroyo Mesa, New Mexico, he didn't expect to stumble into a past he thought he'd buried. And he definitely didn't expect that the woman rolling dough behind a cracked glass window of a rundown bakery would be Maya Johnson, the same Maya who once beat him at physics in high school and dared him to believe he could touch the stars. The plane shook hard enough to rattle the coffee mug out of Elon's hands. Outside the cockpit window, the clouds churned like boiling milk, and a sharp crack of lightning illuminated the silhouette of the mountains below. "Mr. Musk, we're going to need to land," the pilot called out. The radars lit up like a Christmas tree. "Closest strip is a small airfield in Arroyo Mesa." Elon blinked. "Arroyo, where?" "New Mexico. Tiny town. Old mining settlement." He sighed and snapped his laptop shut. The simulation for the new SpaceX booster would have to wait. "Fine. Land it." They touched down 20 minutes later. The jet's wheels squealed as they hit the tarmac, and the cabin lights flickered briefly before going dark. The pilot apologized. "Generator on the strip's not exactly cutting edge, sir." "No kidding," Elon muttered. The air smelled of dry sand and mesquite as he stepped onto the tarmac. There was no terminal, no people. Just a lone hangar with a rusting sign that said, "Welcome to Arroyo Mesa, Pop 1472. His assistant back in California sent him a text. "Storm grounded multiple flights. Next window to fly out is in 18 to 22 hours. 18 hours. Elon looked around, scowling at the wind that picked up dust and tossed it across his polished shoes. A long night, in a forgotten town. Great. A gruff man in oil-stained coveralls approached with a beat-up Jeep. "You're the one from the jet?" "Yeah. I'll take you to town. Not much to see, but there's a place to eat. Sandy's Diner." Elon climbed in silently. As they drove, the desert spread out on either side like a forgotten sea. The sun was setting, bleeding orange across the sky. The man glanced at him. "You here for business?" "Not exactly. Just passing through." The man nodded. "Ain't that how life works?" 15 minutes later, they arrived in the heart of Arroyo Mesa, 2 streets, a post office, a gas station, and a diner with a hand-painted sign that looked like it hadn't been touched since the 80s. Sandy's Diner and Bakery, fresh since 1962. It wasn't much, but the smell of warm cinnamon rolls wafted through the air, and Elon's stomach growled louder than the wind. He stepped inside, ducking slightly under the crooked doorframe. The place was dim, cozy. Old jukebox in the corner. Checkerboard floors. Only 3 tables were occupied, a couple of truckers, an elderly woman reading a paperback, and a teenage girl scribbling in a notebook. "Seat yourself," said a voice from behind the counter. Elon turned toward it, and froze. The woman behind the counter was flour-dusted, her hair tied back with a red bandana. Her apron was old but clean. She was kneading dough, fingers working fast and practiced. Her face, he knew that face. Not just from memory. Not from some vague déjà vu. It was Maya Johnson. Maya. The girl from 10th grade physics. The only person who could out-answer him in class. The one who made him laugh when he thought about giving up. The one who, on a freezing night in Alberta, had looked up at the stars with him and whispered, "One day, you'll get there. But promise me when you do, you won't forget the ground." He'd promised. And then, like all young promises, it got swallowed by time and ambition. Maya looked up. Their eyes met. And in that moment, 30 years melted away. "Elon," she said, eyes wide. He smiled, awkwardly. "Hi, Maya." The rolling pin dropped from her hands and clattered to the floor. They sat in a booth, untouched pie slices growing cold between them. Maya spoke first. "Last time I saw you, you were running for your flight to Toronto. You had a backpack, a broken watch, and said you'd call. Elon winced. I was a coward. Life took off faster than I expected. You became Elon Musk, she said, eyebrows raised. I saw your face on Time magazine. Twice. He chuckled, but there was discomfort behind it. And you're baking? Maya shrugged. Life happens. Dreams change. My mom got sick. I stayed here. Opened this place with my daughter. It's not space, but it feeds people. There was no bitterness in her voice, only quiet strength. Your daughter? He asked, surprised. Maya gestured to the girl with the notebook. Elena. She's 17. Wants to be an engineer. Already built her own wind turbine behind the diner. Elon turned to look. Through the window, he saw a small contraption spinning lazily in the desert wind. Crude, but functional. His eyebrows rose. She did that? From scrap metal. Used to fix our toaster when she was 5. Guess she got that from me. A flicker of old pride lit her face. He studied Maya. Her hands were calloused. Her eyes tired. But she looked alive. Real. Like the kind of person he used to admire, before the world turned everything into metrics and quarterly projections. I'm glad you're here, she said suddenly. Me too, he replied, surprising himself. Come back tomorrow morning, Maya added. Elena's got something to show you. Elon nodded slowly. I will. He stood, walked to the door, and turned back one last time. You know, he said, you once told me not to forget the ground. Maya smiled. And here you are. Back on it. The stars over Arroyo Mesa burned like tiny, defiant fires. Elon leaned against the battered Jeep the diner owner had loaned him for the night, staring at his phone. Elena Johnson. Paternal match, 87.6%. He tried to laugh it off. Some database mistake. Some fluke. But deep down, the numbers gnawed at him. He could still see Maya's face behind the bakery counter. Could still hear the dry pride in her voice when she spoke of her daughter. Could it really be possible? Could Elena be? No. It was impossible. And yet, Elon had learned a long time ago, impossible was just a word. Underscore 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 underscore. Sleep didn't come easy. The desert night was too quiet, too loud, too filled with the memories of a boy who once stared at the stars and dreamed without fear. He remembered Maya then, 17 years old, challenging him to a race across the frozen river near campus, both of them slipping and laughing until they collapsed into the snow. She had been brilliant. Braver than him. And kinder. Back then, there were moments he never dared acknowledge, when he thought there could be something more between them. But he left. Chased opportunity. Left everything behind, even promises he didn't realize he'd made. Now he was back. And the past was staring him dead in the face. Underscore 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 underscore. The next morning, the bakery was busier. Locals came and went, ordering coffee and sweet rolls. Elon sat in the corner booth, unnoticed, sipping black coffee and scanning the room. Maya approached with a plate of pancakes. On the house, she said, setting it down. You're spoiling me, he joked. Consider it repayment. For all those times you let me copy your calculus homework, she teased. He smiled, but his mind was elsewhere. Elena bustled in from the kitchen, her notebook tucked under one arm and a small device under the other. A homemade circuit board, judging by the mess of wires and blinking LEDs. She approached their table shyly. Hi, Mr. Musk. Elon. She blushed. Can I show you something? Of course, he said, pushing his coffee aside. She set the device down. It's a microinverter. For decentralized solar arrays. I built it to maximize energy retention in remote systems. Like, for villages or disaster zones. Elon leaned in, genuinely impressed. The design was clever. Efficient. It wasn't perfect, there were gaps, but the raw brilliance was undeniable. You did this yourself? He asked. She nodded, nervous but proud. Mom helped with the soldering. She's good at steady hands work. But the math and design, that's me. He looked at Maya, who shrugged modestly. She's been building things since she could walk. Elon's mind raced. This girl didn't just have talent. She had the kind of instinctive, natural engineering mind you couldn't teach. And if the DNA report was right. He pushed the thought aside. Focused instead on the opportunity blooming right in front of him. Elena, he said, would you be interested in an internship? Tesla has a mentorship program for young engineers. Paid. Full-time summer opportunity. Her eyes widened so fast it almost made him laugh. Are you serious? Dead serious. Maya's face tightened. Not with anger, but with something closer to fear. Elena's got college applications coming up, Maya said carefully. And scholarships aren't easy to come by. Which is why an early professional mentorship could make all the difference, Elon said gently. We could even help with university placement. He paused. Then added, casually, there might even be scholarship funding available. Elena gasped. Maya looked torn. Finally, Maya said, can we think about it overnight? Of course. Elon stood, smiling. No pressure. As he left the diner, the email notification buzzed again. A follow-up from the Ancestry database. A message flagged as, critical update. He clicked it open. Further analysis confirms. Probability of direct paternal relationship with subject Elena Johnson equals 92.3%. Strong recommendation. Contact client services immediately. Underscore 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 underscore. That night, Elon parked the Jeep on the outskirts of Arroyo Mesa, where the desert stretched wild and untouched. He gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles whitened. If Elena was his daughter, it meant that 30 years ago, when he was a reckless dreamer and Maya was the girl with starlight in her eyes, something more had happened than he ever knew. But Maya never told him. Not a word. Not a letter. Not even a whisper across all these years. Why? Had she been protecting him? Protecting Elena? Or had she simply decided he didn't deserve to know? A sharp knock on the driver's window startled him. He turned. Maya stood there, wrapped in a worn denim jacket, her face illuminated by the moonlight. Can we talk? She asked, her voice steady but strained. He nodded and unlocked the door. She climbed in beside him, folding her hands tightly in her lap. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, Maya broke the silence. I know what you're thinking, she said softly. And yes. It's true. Elon sucked in a breath, the world tilting. Why didn't you tell me? He whispered. She stared out at the desert, her jaw tight. I wanted to. I almost did. 1,000 times. But you had a life ahead of you, Elon. Bigger than anything I could offer. You were already halfway to Mars in your mind. I didn't want to be the gravity that pulled you back. Her voice cracked then, and she closed her eyes. I made the choice to raise her alone. I thought it was the right thing. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was selfish. I don't know anymore. Elon sat in stunned silence. You deserve to know, Maya added, wiping her eyes roughly. Elena deserved to know. Does she know? He asked, his throat dry. Maya shook her head. She thinks her father was someone I met in college who left before she was born. That's the story I gave her. I didn't want her to feel unwanted. A heavy, painful silence filled the jeep. Then Elon said, She's remarkable, Maya. You raised an extraordinary person. Maya laughed through her tears. She raised herself half the time. I just tried to keep the lights on. Just as Elon reached out, instinctively, to comfort her, Maya stiffened. There's something else you need to know, she whispered. What? She pulled a crumpled letter from her jacket pocket, yellowed, creased from years of being handled. It was addressed in careful handwriting to Elon Musk, confidential. Postmarked from 1997. I tried to tell you once, Maya said, voice trembling. I sent this to your first office. Before PayPal. Before SpaceX. Elon stared at it, stunned. He took the letter, hands shaking. Maya whispered. But someone else answered it before you ever saw it. Elon stared at the envelope as if it were a time bomb. His name was written in black ink, deliberate, careful. The paper was faded, brittle at the folds, like it had held its breath for decades. You wrote this in 1997? He asked, voice low. Maya nodded. I was 22. Elena had just turned 1. Why now? Because you're here. Because she deserves to know. And because, Maya hesitated. I think there's more to that letter than even I realized back then. She looked away, her voice dropping to a whisper. Someone intercepted it. I never found out who. Elon held the letter gently, almost afraid it would fall apart in his hands. You mind if I? She shook her head. It's yours. He slid his finger beneath the seal and unfolded the letter. Elon. If this reaches you, I hope you're well. I know this will come as a shock, but there's something you need to know. I have a daughter. Her name is Elena. She was born July 4th, 1996. She's yours. I'm not asking for anything. I just thought, you should know. Because someday, she'll ask about you. And I want to tell her the truth. That I tried to reach you. That I kept the promise. Maya. Elon's hand trembled. He could see her, 22 and scared, writing those words with the kind of quiet courage he'd always admired in her. And someone, had taken that letter before it reached him. Do you remember the address? He asked suddenly. Maya furrowed her brow. I sent it to your office in Mountain View. A P.O. box, I think. I got the info from someone at a conference. Elon's mind reeled. In 1997, that office had been shared space. With 4 other startups. One of the early administrative assistants, he couldn't even remember her name now, was in charge of the mail. I never saw this, he murmured. Not once. I know, Maya said. That's why I stopped trying. He folded the letter carefully and placed it back in the envelope. Then, after a long silence, he said, I want to tell her. Maya stiffened. Elon. I don't want to hide anymore. If she's mine, she deserves the truth. From both of us. Maya exhaled, long and slow. Okay. Tomorrow. After dinner. We tell her together. That evening, Elon stayed for dinner. It wasn't extravagant, mac and cheese, roasted vegetables, lemonade in mismatched glasses, but it felt more grounding than any state dinner he'd ever attended. Elena buzzed with questions, about rockets, about SpaceX, about AI, and Elon answered every one, eyes often drifting to Maya, who watched him carefully, silently. At the end of the meal, Elena excused herself to her room to finish a physics project. Elon turned to Maya. Does she have any idea? None, she said softly. She's extraordinary. She's you, Maya said. He blinked. No, she corrected herself gently. She's us. The best parts. After dinner, they walked to the backyard workshop Elena had built. The same wind turbine hummed gently, casting a slow-moving shadow against the wall. Inside, the space was a world of wires, notebooks, tools, and half-finished prototypes. On one wall, a map of the world. On another, a poster of Carl Sagan with the words, "Somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known." This is her dream board, Maya said. At the center of it, a sketch of a small house powered entirely by renewable energy, labeled eHome V.4.0. A note beneath read, "To be built for Mom, someday." Elon swallowed hard. This is what she wants, he asked. Maya nodded. She told me once, if she could give the world anything, it would be light where there's darkness. Elon ran his fingers along the diagram. She's already done that. Just by existing. The next morning, Maya and Elon sat on the porch, coffee mugs in hand. The moment was approaching. Elena stepped outside, rubbing her eyes, dressed in her hoodie and jeans, notebook still clutched under one arm. "Hey," she said, smiling. "You guys look like conspirators." Maya chuckled nervously. "Elena, sit with us. There's something we want to talk to you about." Elena sat, curious but calm. "Elena," Elon began, his voice quiet. "I've just learned something important. And it's about you. About us." She tilted her head. Maya reached out, taking her daughter's hand. "Elon is your biological father," Maya said, her voice trembling. "I didn't tell you before because I wasn't sure how. I didn't even know if he ever got the letter I sent." Elena blinked. Then laughed, confused. "No." "What?" "It's true," Elon said softly. "And I only just found out. A genetics report confirmed it. And then I found the letter your mom wrote." Elena pulled her hand back, stood up slowly. "You're serious," she whispered. "We are," Maya said, rising too. "And I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was trying to protect you. But maybe I was just afraid." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "My whole life. I thought I was some mistake. A fluke." "You're not," Elon said firmly, stepping closer. "You're the best decision someone ever made." She looked between them. And then, after a long pause, she whispered, "I don't know what to feel right now." "You don't have to know," Maya said gently. "Not today." Elon took a breath. "But I hope, maybe, we can build something new. Together." Elena didn't speak. She just looked up at the wind turbine, spinning slowly in the morning sun. Later that evening, as Elon helped Maya close the bakery, a man entered. Mid-50s, sharp suit, dark sunglasses despite the setting sun. "Mr. Musk?" the man asked. "Yes." The man handed over a business card. U.S. Department of Energy. Clean Futures Initiative. He leaned in slightly. "We've been watching this town," he said quietly. "And we're very interested in the girl. Her designs. Her potential." Elon narrowed his eyes. "What do you mean, watching?" The man smiled thinly. "Let's just say, Elena Johnson isn't the only thing in this town with powerful origins." Then he turned and walked out. 3 days later, the wind blew warm over Arroyo Mesa, and the air buzzed with something electric, something alive. Elon stood outside the old diner, watching as workers in Tesla-branded shirts carefully installed a set of sleek, dark solar panels on the roof. Maya stood beside him, arms folded, her face unreadable. "You didn't have to do this," she said quietly. "I know," Elon replied. "But I wanted to." The bakery had become something of a landmark overnight. News of Elon Musk's accidental visit to a forgotten New Mexico town had leaked, likely thanks to one of the Department of Energy agents lurking nearby, and now reporters, tech scouts, and curious locals passed by daily. But Elena didn't care about the cameras. She was too busy building. Her microinverter prototype had drawn attention from 3 national labs. Engineers were already calling her a once-in-a-generation mind. But she was still processing the truth behind her last name. That night, at Maya's house, the 3 of them sat under the porch light, a soft desert breeze moving through the scrub grass. Elena was the first to speak. "Can I ask you something, Elon?" "Anything. If you had gotten the letter, would you have come back?" Elon's mouth opened. Then closed. "I want to say yes," he said finally. "But I was 26. Arrogant. Buried in code and ambition. I don't know if I would have had the courage." Elena nodded slowly. "I don't blame you. I just needed to know." "You have every right," he said. Maya reached for her daughter's hand. "I made my choice. But I never wanted to make it for you." Elena gave a small smile. "Well, you both have a chance now." Then she reached into her backpack and pulled out 2 folded documents. "What's this?" Elon asked. "I applied for early admission," she said. "MIT, and Caltech." They both said yes. Elon blinked. "Both?" Elena grinned. "Yeah. Apparently being Musk adjacent helps." He laughed, and for the first time, it wasn't a laugh weighed down by regret or disbelief. It was joy. 1 week later, under the warm gold of the New Mexico sun, the town gathered at the local community center. Tesla's engineers were on site, not to sell, but to teach, demonstrating solar setups, energy independence modules, even offering free consultations. And standing at the center of it all, with a headset mic and a digital schematic behind her, was Elena Johnson. She spoke clearly, passionately, about community-powered design, about decentralized energy, about giving rural towns the same future as cities. Elon watched from the crowd, Maya beside him. "She's changing lives," he said softly. Maya nodded. "So are you. In your own way." "I don't think I knew how to change lives," he admitted. "Not like this." He turned to her. "But I'm ready to try." That evening, the 3 of them returned to the hill just outside town, where the wind carried the scent of sage and dust. Elena carried something in her hand, a polished glass box. Inside it, 2 smooth meteorite stones. Elon stared. "Where did you get these?" Maya smiled. "Found them while cleaning the attic last week." "You gave me one. I guess I never threw it away." Elena opened the box and took out one of the stones. She handed it to Elon. "This is your piece," she said. "But I want you to keep both. For now." Elon felt the weight of it settle in his palm. "We made a promise once," Maya said, her voice thick with emotion. "To never forget the ground beneath the stars." "And now?" Elon asked. "Now," Maya said, "we make a new promise. To stay," Elena added. "For each other. No matter where we go." Elon looked at them, his daughter, his old friend, and for the first time in years, he felt whole. As the 3 of them watched the stars rise over the desert, a black SUV pulled up quietly on the road below. A woman stepped out, sharp-suited, holding a tablet. She approached Elon. "Mr. Musk," she said. "I represent a private foundation. We believe Elena's work has the potential to revolutionize rural infrastructure, not just in America, but globally." Maya tensed. Elena looked wary. The woman smiled. "And we believe she shouldn't do it alone." She handed Elena a file. Inside was a letter, signed by one of the world's most powerful scientific alliances. An offer, funding, lab access, a direct path to bring her e-home designs to scale. But at the bottom of the letter was something even more shocking. A name neither Elon nor Maya had seen in years. Dr. Amara Johnson, Maya's estranged sister. Elon turned to Maya. "You never told me you had a sister." Maya's face turned pale. "Because I thought she was dead." There are moments in life when the past returns not to haunt us, but to heal us. Elon's unexpected landing wasn't just mechanical failure. It was fate giving him a second chance, to reconnect, to take responsibility, and to rediscover what really matters. This story teaches us. Dreams delayed are not dreams denied. The truth always finds a way through silence. Family isn't always built from perfect beginnings, but from the courage to begin again. And most of all, you are never too late to become the person you were meant to be, for someone else. Recommended books to continue your journey. 1. The Choice, by Dr. Edith Eva Eger, a powerful memoir on trauma, resilience, and finding strength through forgiveness. 2. The Second Mountain, by David Brooks, a profound look at life beyond success, the journey to meaning, service, and commitment. Read these books. Reflect on your own unfinished letters. Reach out. Rebuild. Forgive. Because even in the driest deserts of our lives, something can bloom again. Sometimes, all it takes is an emergency landing.